Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How is everybody doing? How are all my peeps doing? I trust everybody is doing as fine as we can do under the administration of our first real fascist president. But you know what, folks? It's okay. We are going to get things done. We will get things done. Anyway, how are my peeps doing this afternoon? I got to check a few things out here, my friends. Get a few things in order, and then we will be getting this stuff under wraps as soon as possible. Anyway, all right, let's see. In the house, we have from who started? Let's see who was the first one to get here today. The first one getting here today. Come on, Mouse. Where are you? Come on, Mouse. Where are you? There you go. First one in the house today. It seems like it was. Oh, there we go. Paul Fleming was the first one in the house from Powder Springs, Georgia. We also have Patrick Magner in the house from Houston, Texas. We also have AVQ in the house from Brooklyn, New York. And let's see, who else? Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood. And Bridge MCP, she comes in and she says, "Hey peeps, how you doing?" From Binghamton, New York. Paul Fleming starts. He says, "Boycotting Tesla is not illegal as Trump claims. The purpose of a boycott is to send a clear message. We, the people, have the power and choice to not give our hard-earned cash to billionaire oligarchs." It's amazing how when you really attack business, they want to come back and say they can do whatever they want to you. They can raise your prices even as they're making a profit, which squeezes you. They can pollute your water, and they don't want to pay the price of polluting your water. They can put MBTs in your groundwater, your soil. They don't want to do anything about it. The railroad companies can put creosote in your landfills, in your land around the tracks, create cancer alleys, but they don't want to take responsibility for that. Sounds so familiar to the things that they always abhor, right? Anyway. Sorry, that's not going to work. In the house as well is Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Welcome, Lee the Bearcat. Great to have you in the house as well. Okay, you know what? Yesterday, Patrick was going. Patrick, I still hadn't gotten a chance to read that stuff. I've been so busy doing all this other stuff. But if you want, you can call in before we start our videos and all of that and talk to us about what you found out about what the law says or used to say, or I'm not sure how current it is or whatever, about Social Security, parents, kids, and the responsibilities thereof. I think that's what you started to talk about yesterday. Let's go ahead and if you're up to it, let's start early and give us a call on this. And then we'll take care of the videos. I think I only have one video today, an 8-minute video today. Other than that, we have a lot of stuff to cover. What else we got here? Paul Fleming also says HUD has scrapped the affirmative furthering fair housing rule first introduced under Obama. It required states to prove they were actively combating house discrimination. Now localities only have to promise they mean well. This is a major setback to fair housing. And you know what? We know that as a fact. I can tell you firsthand, in places that I've been. I remember trying to rent places. I was an engineer, quite able to afford the places in Houston that I wanted to live. And I could see the hesitancy, and suddenly places that said they had vacancies didn't have the vacancy for a single guy, right? Sure. So, yeah, there's a whole lot under the auspices of DEI that is getting done. But like I explained yesterday, DEI hurts the people that you think it least hurts, many a times the most. All right, Paul Fleming says, just imagine if Mandela, who is South African, was doing to America what Elon Musk, who says he's South African, is doing. You know what is so interesting? Think about. I want you guys to understand the level of prejudice that we're talking about here. Imagine you just said it right, Paul. But think about this. Have you noticed in most of the discussion with Elon Musk, it never comes up that it's a foreigner, a former. It is like me in the White House. If I were giving all this bad advice to the president, everybody would be stressing that Panamanian, that Latino Panamanian, that Caribbean Panamanian. That's what they would be saying, right? But Elon Musk, nah. Nobody even talks about him being South African. Have you noticed that? Nobody even talk about him not originally having his papers straight when he came here. In other words, he was undocumented, according to his brother, for some time. Nobody talks about it because I guess, tell me if I'm wrong, but maybe because he's the right hue and the policies of the South Africa that he came from is in a good place with Trump, apartheid South Africa. I don't know. Maybe because he likes to make that sign, that Nazi sign. I don't know. But think about that. I want you guys to honestly think about that. How comes it's not mentioned? Welcome to all my folks, my peeps on on Substack. Welcome aboard. The Substack interface isn't the best for me to really talk to you. I wish it was better so I could type a few things. But if you type something, a lot of times, if I can catch it in time, I can catch it. All right? All right, what else have we got here? Leader Bearcat says ceasefire. No, we don't have a ceasefire yet. Ukraine has been coerced into a ceasefire. Let's see if Russia accepts. We'll see. Bridge MCP says ceasefire only if Putin agrees. He has broken every ceasefire, and what intelligence will Rump give? That's very true. Very true. Paul Fleming from NPR says the disbanding of committees that consulted on government data and comments from a senior official about changing how GDP is calculated are raising alarms about the reliability of government data. That came out about 2 or 3 days ago, Paul. But it's sad, right? They used to complain about Biden possibly cooking the data, which he wasn't. Now they are talking about cooking the data. Let's be very clear about that. Now we're talking about cooking the data. All right, let's see what else we got here. Para ver, Paul Fleming says, News Max, Trump, I rebuilt the military during my first term. I'm going to have to rebuild it a little bit again. But Canada would be great as our cherished 51st state. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay, Bridge MCP says, Berto Willis, no one is talking about how the DOJ was investigating Musk and his brother for falsifying papers to get in. Then the DOJ is not investigating. That's true. That is true. Okay. Marco Rubio personally signed off to detain Mahmoud Khalil on foreign policy grounds, sources confirm. Well, that is one of the first things that he did wrong because the guy, well, that'll come out in a little bit. Reporter, do you have your, from Paul Fleming, reporter, do you have your tariff policies bear any responsibility for the turmoil we're seeing this week? Trump, no. Biden gave us a horrible economy. You know, numbers don't lie. But if he says that enough of his MAGA folks will believe it. And that's why we have some important work to do. And that's why I wrote this piece. And I think it is about, before I do the video, I think this is what we better do. Because we have to push back. We have to make sure to get things right. So what I want to do is I want to get to our what I'm going to call our, whoops, I got to turn that off. Come on. How get that turned off? Mute. All right. I wrote a piece called, and the title of the piece is, I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to also put a link to it in the chat. Please go ahead and please read this. Please share it. Anybody that sees that blog post that I have in the chat, please share it all over. Please put it in your TikTok. Please share it in your Instagram. Please share it on X, on Blue Sky, on Facebook. I ask you kindly to share this article. Title: United Progressives Activists Must Do What the Democratic Establishment Has Failed to Do. We must not sit back and will the Democratic establishment into action. They seem unable to cope with the new political paradigm. The new political paradigm shift, that is. It is a new battle the old guard is resistant to address head on. And this is what I want to point out. I keep hoping that our elected congresspersons, senators, and pundits frequently appearing on cable and broadcast networks will say what Americans need to hear. Unfortunately, they refuse to do that. I do not expect the host of news and opinion programs to have the fortitude and the intellectual honesty of MSNBC's Ali Velshi or the former MSNBC Joyanne Reid, or to some extent Katie here on MSNBC, who usually does some good articulations. Or we have quite a few good hosts out there that get the job done. Okay? But too many of them allow these guys to come on air and pollute our air with misinformation or information that we don't call back. Enduring the Sunday morning news programs on every channel has been difficult. News hosts normalize the linkage of fentanyl across the Canadian and Mexican borders with tariffs, which makes absolutely no sense. We shouldn't be talking about tariffs to solve a fentanyl problem. Are we crazy? One has nothing to do with the other. We cannot allow the addiction of a few million Americans that our drug companies are complicit in to affect trade policies that already are treaty-based. Moreover, whatever happened to personal responsibility? Republicans always talk about personal responsibility, personal responsibility. I don't care how many tons of drugs come over the border. If you take it, you are breaking the law. I don't agree with it. I believe we should legalize drugs and have a tax system that actually solve the addiction problem. But that's not where we are. If you take drugs, you are committing a crime. You know, everybody, when people come across the border, folks like to say they're criminals, they're committing crimes. Okay, do you feel the same way about those people who take fentanyl? Are they criminals? Should they be arrested? Should they pay the price for what they're doing? And not all of us, because again, when Donald Trump causes a trade war that raises prices for all Americans under the pretext that he wants to stop fentanyl from coming over the border because Americans die from all these drugs, he is saying, for the majority of Americans, I want you guys to listen to this well. For the majority of Americans who are responsible, who don't take these drugs, look, I don't want to dog the folks who takes drugs because a lot of the country is in so much pain that they use alcohol as a form of numbing themselves. They use fentanyl as a form of numbing themselves. So those people need help. But most Americans don't do it. Most Americans aren't on fentanyl. Most Americans aren't doing drugs that harm them. But what Trump is doing, according to what he's saying, is having all of us pay the price for the small amount of people, comparatively to the nation size, who are using drugs. So we are penalized for drug users, and we are penalized for those who don't take personal responsibility, right? But you don't hear how comes they never talked like this when it was crack? I wonder why. Paul Fleming, don't you wonder why sometimes? Okay, Democrats were rudderless and wishy-washy on every one of the Sunday news programs that I saw. Very upsetting. How difficult is it to say that Democrats will not be extorted with a government shutdown to force support of any bill, continuing resolution, or otherwise that opens the door to cut Social Security, Medicare, SNAP, the VA, which is what the continuing resolution is going to do. The continuing resolution is going to codify certain cuts that Elon Musk, that thug, actually found. And by the way, Elon Musk is also on a lot of illegal drugs, but he's in the White House. Elon Musk takes illegal drugs according to what we've read several places, but he's in the White House. Isn't he a criminal? How difficult is it to have a continuous narrative of Trump, Musk, and the GOP harming farmers and working class Americans, which harm MAGA and the red states more so than others? How difficult is it to point out that as Trump and his sycophants complain about regulations and green jobs, Biden's economy with rules is not crashing like Trump has with cutting of regulations. So here we had the Biden economy doing very well in a capitalist sense, not for all people, but very well. Now we have Trump's economy on the verge of collapse in just 6 weeks. Trump's economy on the verge of collapse in 6 weeks, all done because of what he did. What he did with tariffs. What he did with simply violating the government by throwing people out of their jobs, which makes it so much more, well, you know what. So it only took 6 weeks for Donald Trump to destroy the government a second time. Biden had to come and rebuild a government that he allowed a pandemic to destroy. And we cleaned it up. We cleaned it up. And now we have to clean the mess up that isn't even fully done yet. How difficult is it to create that narrative? We cleaned up Trump's first mess. If you guys do this again, we'll have a second mess to clean up. This time it simply will be worse. You see? These are not difficult narratives, people, but I don't hear the Democratic leadership doing it. The Democratic establishment still resides in an old-style campaign paradigm. They funnel much of your support dollars to high-priced consultants who would not know a poor or working-class person in the ghettos, barrios, Appalachia, or the burbs. Contrast that to the right. They run a successful full-court asymmetric game. Any party that can get 49.8% of the vote with provably terrible policies can pat themselves on the back. So my right-wing brothers and sisters who promoted that, pat yourself on the back. It took a lot of lies. It took a lot of genuine lies to convince enough people in all these different areas to support you. You're still at 50%, but you won. They went into every niche to reach or create a base from dejected Gen Z misfit young men to female athletes to unemployed dejected people to methanol cigarette smoking men to lip fearing evangelicals and more. Lying to suffering, low information, gullible individuals brings a substantial number of votes when the opposition does not even know these people exist or disregards them. Many people who read newsletters get frustrated because most writers describe the problem well. I just told you all these problems. Yeah, we can talk about problems. Too often, we do not give actionable steps to solve it. I will provide individual actionable steps that those of us in the independent media and the progressive activist movement can take. Unlike the right, MAGA and conservatives, it is essential that we center on truth, even as we may use attention-seeking techniques where necessary. So, actions by activists, and let me put that on the screen now because that is something I want you guys to see. Okay? Actions by activists are as follows. And by the way, this is the article again. It was titled, United Progressive Activists Must Do What the Democratic Establishment Has Failed to Do. So here are the actions that activists should take. Activist movement organizations should take. Urge the party or larger progressives organizations to create 24/7 streaming channels on every platform. This is not an expensive proposition for larger groups. I have been testing this on a small scale as a one-person organization. And guess what, folks? It works. It works. I've been streaming some of these shows and other things. And sometimes I'm streaming the show at 1 or 2 in the mornings. I get calls at 1 or 2 in the mornings on the show. It is reaching people. Imagine if we had the dollars behind doing that ad nauseum. What else can we do? Create a semi-organic group that generates daily talking points and narratives for influencers, bloggers, podcasters, vlogcasters, streamers, and on the streets activists to use in their daily work. Have it ready. Make it be truthful, touch people's hearts, and and by the way, you notice I'm writing this in public. This is not a secret because I will put our policies and narratives up against the policies and narratives on the right any day. The problem is that we don't do that. We don't actively fight them. We don't actively bring our bazooka to a gunfight because the policies that we support are bazookas. Their policies can only be a little gun. Brothers and sisters, understand what we're saying here. Understand what we're saying here. All right. Continuing, what else can we do? Create a resource on our platforms that enumerate reputable progressive entities, website influencers, hosts, etc. In other words, every single organizations like Politics Done Right, meaning my newsletter, Egberto Off the Record, or Politics Done Right, the website, Egberto Willis, the website, all of these platforms should have a central location, just a page, that has all the reputable progressive rags, progressive website, progressive TikToks, progressive Instagrams that you can think of. And you just enumerate them. And maybe link to another one of those pages that have other people with other loves as well. And what we're doing is we're creating what's called not geometric progression, but exponential progression. As more of us know about more of us. Because too often progressives stay in their own silos because they believe in one thing and they don't expand their horizons often enough. So that's what we do. Let's do that. Now, Writers, meaning bloggers, authors, etc., should reference as many other progressive website, TikTokers, and Instagrams as possible. So, like today, one of the videos that I'm doing is a video that AOC put out a few days ago, right? And I will have, she's well known, so I don't really have to do that. But if you remember, a couple of days ago, I put out some videos from other, from other TikTokers, well known progressives, etc., or not so well known progressives is what I should say. And because I got this advice from some of you, Bridge MCP, Ray, and others, to do this. And whenever I get advice, I always put up the cons and the pros and the cons. And the reason I do that is like, the doctor tenet that says, do no harm. I want to make sure that whatever I do to enhance our program, that I'll do no harm, but that we'll have added benefits. And that's after I did the pros and cons, that's what it was. Added benefits to the entire thing, right? And that's the idea. So writers, share and cross-link with everybody. We talk about cross-linking, but it's not just about cross-linking to other websites. It's also implementing other TikTokers, other Instagrammers, under Telegraphers, under other shorts from YouTube, other reels from Facebook, etc. Integrate all of that so others are into the fold. And then the last one is very important. Create reasons to meet in person to fight despair and promote action. Action. Arrange frequent events like what Neil Aquino of the Houston Democracy Project and other activists have been doing. What they've been doing is they have met at Cornyn's office for 422 consecutive weeks. Camaraderie, purpose, common interests. They did it. And don't for one time believe that the moderation that Cornyn has relative to Ted Cruz is not because he knows that a lot of folks are out there watching his every move. And you know what? Texas is not just only red. And he knows that Texas is on the brink. He knows it. So those are the actions of the institutions, the progressive institutions. The Politics Done Right, the TYTs, all of these other organizations. These are the things that they should be doing. Now, there's also room for the individual. And what should the individual be doing? Me, you as individuals, what should we be doing? We should be meeting and engaging people in the flesh. Meet folks, hug on people, talk to people, smile with people. Do not fear listening on other people's conversations and civilly engaging them in agreement or disagreement, even if they are not of your ideology. I have found that no matter how MAGA, I can plant seeds. I can entertain conversations. Remember, you are the non-gullible person in the room. So you have that on your side. The fact that you are fact-based, the fact that you are not controlled or cult-based gives you an upper hand, gives you the ability to navigate if you choose to not work emotionally, but if you choose to work following the pattern. Do not leave misinformation in posts or comments in Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, TikTok, YouTube, or any other platform unanswered. If you see something that is wrong, correct it. Provide reliable sourcing if possible, and bend over backwards, not to be snarky, condescending, or confrontational, no matter what they throw at you. Respond and move on. The idea is to build the information base for both humans and search engines. Share another third topic, share progressive videos, newsletters from all platforms on yours and other platforms as well. So if you see a video, if you see a TikTok, if you see whatever you see that really makes a point, don't just like it. Don't just like it and whatever. Don't just forward it. Use that copy link and put it in your Facebook. Use that copy link and put it in your Twitter. The idea is to flood the space. They pay a lot of people in many other countries to do just that. These people are misinformed and misled because of the vast amount of information that they pay out there. You can do that too. And we do it. That's why I spend 16 hours a day putting out newsletters, putting out tweets, putting out TikToks, putting out Instagrams. You can all be a part of it. Okay? Forward newsletters that you subscribe to that are meaningful to you and to your email list. That is where I tell all those that are subscribed to my newsletter, share it. My newsletter is free. I do ask folks who subscribe to please consider becoming paid subscribers because it helps us promote the it helps us get the job done. So, while the newsletter is free, it has a paid option. And those people who take advantage of the paid option, guess what? You get to read all of my books for free and all my subsequent books for free and all my podcasts edited, etc. But yeah, share the newsletter. Subscribe to the newsletter, right? But we have to support all these different new medias out there that are getting the job done that the party is not doing, that the progressive, some in the progressive movement have failed to do. And last but not least, and while this may be self-serving, it is nonetheless essential. Support as many organizations, platforms, and newsletters as you are financially able to do with small dollar donations and subscriptions. We had a huge get money, a huge what do you call it, pledge drive at KPFT. Our goal was to raise $170,000. I must say that both Politics Done Right and other programs were successful in doing that. I brought in more than I ever had before on the Politics Done Right side of KPFT. Fortunate, all that money goes to KPFT, of course. But it was a successful fund drive. We had to raise $170,000 for the entire station. We raised $177,000, somewhere around there. I hope that I can be as successful on Politics Done Right at 3:00 as well. If many of you will decide to subscribe to the newsletter and subscribe to our YouTube channel, etc. But the good thing about it is many of you supported us at KPFT 90.1. In fact, many of you supported us at KPFT because you are here. Too many dollars have been going to high-priced consultants that would never understand the plight of the poor, working class, or middle class, while those of us closer to the people are reaching many niches online and in the flesh and on air with your support. So I want you all to think about it. It is not enough to say a party is not doing its job. It is not enough to say that we are waiting for them to give us direction. My newsletter, I'll be frank, I think gives this particular one, I think gives excellent direction on what everybody can do, both institutionally and individually. I got one of the people who received the newsletter sent me Charlie Lindahl. He said, Egberto, I love what you have there, but there's other things that you missed. To which I said, what is it? And he sent other options. And he's absolutely right. But you start with where you are at and you build on that. So many of you can take this, pass it along, share this, and tell others if you have a better way, another way, other options, do it. Don't sit back and wait for the party. Don't sit back and wait for anybody else. Do it. And not only do it, but also teach us what you have done that has been successful. That's what grassroots look like. No one person has the answer because everybody has a different care in their life. There are commonalities and there are things that are different. There are commonalities and things that are different. And once we work on those, we will win not only the hearts and minds of everybody, irrespective of ideology, because they would have seen the support that we're given, but much, much more. All right, folks, that is the word or the blog of the day. I had to read that one, or not read, but I can't just read it. I have to add a whole lot of stuff to it. Anyhow, I see a whole lot of stuff in the chat right now. Let's go over some of that. Let's see. All New Yorkers, let me see, where did I leave off? Beforehand, let me introduce the rest of the folks that came. Mike Cisak is in the house. Welcome. We also have Mike Cisak is from Missouri. Joe is from Los Angeles, California. We also have in the house that just joined us, E2247 from all over. We have that just joined us as well. Let's see. I can't find everybody, but I want to start reading. Lee the Beer Cat from Austin. And okay, let's go ahead and read some of this from what you placed in the chat. Paul Fleming says, I have multiple sclerosis. It's an unpredictable disease of the nervous system. It affects the brain, spinal cord, and epic nerves, which controls everything we do. Though through this, the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and the body is disrupted. MS can vary in severity from person to person, and individuals may experience different symptoms. MS Awareness Week. Thank you for giving us your testimony, sir. I am one of those who read or who did the MS 150 every year. It is a 180-mile ride from Houston to Austin, Texas. And I did that 10 years consecutively. With the state of insurance and all of that now, I quit doing the race just because there are several times I've gotten hurt, not real bad, but I figured it's been on my side thus far. So I don't do the ride anymore, but I still contribute to MS. I still contribute to MS. So, my spirit is with you, Brother Paul Fleming. Know that my wife has lupus. It's also a chronic disease, and that shares some similarities with MS as well. Breaking news, U.S. law firm Perkins Cole has sued President Donald Trump in federal court, claiming Trump illegally retaliated against his firm, and it was about time that they did that. That was a big story yesterday. Paul Fleming says, new National Cancer Institute can't publish information on these topics without special approval. Vaccines, fluoride, autism, communications involving those and 20 other controversial, high-profile, or sensitive topics. That is how it starts. That's how fascism starts. Bridge MCP said, Egberto, two Dems. One is Fetterman, who I do not consider a Dem anymore, and they will vote with the Republicans. I am very sure that they will. But you know what, Bridge? We have work to do, and we will get the work done. All right, what else have we got here? Joe, let's see. That is a private conversation. What else have we got? What else have we got? Okay, bear with me, guys. I'm going through the list to read. All right, I tell you what. Oh, Michael has a long one. Protest leaders have always been among the first targets of authoritarian regimes. Yes, it can happen here. The nation, Mahmoud Khalil, is the first activist to be disappeared by Trump. The detention and attempted deportation of Khalil is a test by Trump to see how far he can go. And believe it or not, I'm a naturalized American citizen for several decades now. And I have to be concerned now because Trump is throwing everything out the door. And they will try to get away with anything that they can. We won't let them. And we have our posse. We definitely have our posse. All right, folks, it is time for our video of the day. We only have one video today, so here it goes. Yesterday, Elon Musk slipped up and really made it clear that they're going after not only Medicare and not only Medicaid, which is easier to tackle, but they're actually going after Medicare and Social Security. A little bit harder to tackle because there may be some machinations having to go, but watch. If they come close, get ready for them to blow up the filibuster to go ahead and get their goal passed once and for all. So, for those of you who think you'll be saved by the filibuster for Medicare and Medicaid, rest assured, if they feel that they've got it, they're going to do it. But you know what Elon Musk is doing is really a fraud. He has most of the people looking at all these people that are being laid off so that you believe those that are supporting the Trump administration, the MAGA folks, will believe, no, he's not really going to touch Social Security. No, he's not going to really touch Medicaid, because look at what he's doing. He's firing a lot of federal government workers where the waste is. Of course, a lot of these workers are also in Timbuktu, Texas, Timbuktu, Mississippi, etc. Some of these smaller communities, they are solely dependent on the wages that the government pays to those federal employees that are giving out food stamps, employees that are giving out Medicaid, etc., right? So they're getting a double whammy by those jobs being lost, and also by eventually losing their SNAP, Medicaid, etc. But Trump doesn't want them to look there yet. He doesn't want them to look there because he needs their support so that Congress will feel they still have the support so that they can pretty much destroy their own people for the sake of giving and transferring all their monies to the top, to the wealthy. Listen to AOC. AOC points out something about federal workers that very few know. And she also points out why it is that they're going after all this money. Check this out.
If you are a fan of Donald Trump and you like to punish yourself by watching my live streams, welcome. I'm still fighting for your health care anyway. If you are MAGA and you're on Social Security, congratulations. Welcome. I'm fighting for your benefits too, because I actually believe that people should age with dignity in this country. I believe that people should have access to health care. We don't, quote unquote, have the money for a better and improved social safety net because we let assholes like Elon Musk gut Medicaid and gut Social Security in order for him to pay for A, his own tax cuts, and B, his own $1 billion in private federal contracts. This guy takes billions and billions of your tax dollars, of your public funds. A lot of tech talks about themselves as tech, but they're really just defense contractors. They're the new Boeing. They're the new Lockheed Martin. They are robbing us of the tiny slivers of what we have left in our collective public social safety net in order to get billion-dollar defense contracts. Because here's the thing. You want to hear another interesting fact? You could fire every single federal worker and it would still be something only like 4% of the federal budget. Where's all the rest of it going? If you actually wanted to go after waste, fraud, and abuse, you would go after defense contractors. But the problem is, those are the guys who are making the money off of cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
So yes, if you really, really want to cut, the big low-hanging fruit is our Defense Department. Do we really need a Defense Department whose budget is more than the next 8 countries combined? And do you really think that those F-18s and those carriers cost what our defense industrial complex is charging them? That's the biggest waste and abuse there is. I can't call it fraud because fraud has legal implications, but I can call it waste and abuse. Elon Musk like to call those people on Social Security waste, fraud, and abuse. But somehow there are no charges being filed on anyone. Folks, we have to wake up. We have to go out there and we got to get the job done. We have to make our MAGA brothers and sisters realize that they are the first ones that are going to be fed to the lion. Their flesh are the ones that's going to suffer before anyone else, because they are the ones that are more dependent on government than anyone else. Yes, it'll affect the others as well, but it's coming to Timbuktu, rural America first. So whether it is the post office privatization, which means many of your costs for shipping will go up and the frequency of receiving your mail and packages will go down. Whether it is the loss of Medicaid, which means your rural hospitals, more of them will be closing and more of your clinics will be closing. Whether it's the loss of jobs in the federal sector that will affect you because all those nursing homes are funded federally. All those offices that give out SNAP, those offices that process your Social Security, those offices that process your Medicaid are given to rural people that are getting good wages that are spent in the rural restaurants and rural places that don't really have a big customer base. So you require well-paid people to keep restaurants with small customer bases open. So they try to prevent you, my MAGA brothers and sisters, from critical thinking because they don't want you to go through the steps. If this happened, then this happened, then that happens. They don't want you to think about that. They just want you to believe that, hey, if government workers get those people that I'm prejudiced against, they're going to lose their jobs. They want to inspire your hate, which blocks out that which actually is going to hurt you. Wake up.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Absolutely. Join. Anyway, folks, it is at 3:50. Anybody wants to give us a call? The lines are wide open. 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. Give us a call if there is anything that you want to discuss about the program. That's the only video that I have for today. And as soon as I get off this show, I have two separate interviews that I need to go do. But anyway, 281-823-7747. Let me try to scroll into the Substack and see if there's any messages I need to read in Substack. They make it difficult on Substack. All right, our sister Alistair Water is in the house. Good afternoon, Sister Alistair Waters. Talk to me.
Hey, all right. So I just have to do a few things. First off, I believe that Donald Trump is not ever able to keep any quote-unquote promises because he just does not have that kind of honor. I think he is feeling pressure, though, for popularity's sake, to bring down the prices, the cost of everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And he feels that it is worth it. I think this is just an assumption, or a hypothesis. Sorry. I believe that he is letting the stock market do its jiggy thing and go down and down and down in a very risky attempt to bring prices down. Because when we are in a recession, generally the price of things, the cost for things goes down.
Hold one second. Let me I have another call coming in and I need to connect them. Are you there, Joe?
Hello?
Yeah, hold on, Joe. I need to connect these calls.
Okay.
All right, Bridgems. All right, continue. Continue, Alistair.
Is Sister MCP in the house?
Sister MCP is in the chat, but she's not in the house. She's not on in the call. But go ahead. Let me just say one
Oh,
thing.
okay.
I want to address something that you
Yeah,
said with some economics here, right? In
yeah,
1979, under certain circumstances, it was high gas prices then, but now we have other high prices for some other things. But let me just say that
yeah,
there is something called in stagflation. Stagflation
yeah,
occurs with with high unemployment, a crashed economy, but still prices remain high. So when you say that that would be a very risky proposition, you ain't kidding. That would be risky. But let me tell you, I think I don't ever attribute anything good to Donald Trump. I think it has
no,
a bigger chance of being a what's known as a a pump and dump in reverse. Pump and dump in
yeah,
reverse means let the
yeah,
market die because I am making it die. And I will then, when it gets to a very low, I would then throw a whole lot of a lot of money into the stock, and I recover. I create a whole lot of value in my own. So I mean, there's a look. Here's the thing,
yes,
Alice. Neither you or I know for sure what the hell this guy is doing. I don't know if this guy know what the hell he's doing.
it's true.
You see what I'm saying?
That's, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely, yes.
let me ask you to hold your other point for a second and let Joe
Yeah,
say her point, and then we'll come back to you. Come on in, Joe.
Okay, I have an anecdotal story about avocados
Okay.
and dishonest developers and banks. I owned a 5-unit building in Venice, California, and they took it from mortgage fraud. But here's the point. Over 10 years, I had nurtured an avocado tree to fruiting for 3 years. And the first thing they did when they stole the building was take a chainsaw, an actual chainsaw, wake me up at 6 in the morning going, "Brrr," and at the base, cut down my avocado tree. And that's just the nature of these people. I cried. That's all.
Wait,
I just
wait.
wanted to
They
communicate
cut
that.
down. They cut down your tree.
yeah,
Yeah, they illegally got it, and it was actually over a property line. It was half on one side of the line, half on the other. And while
Right.
they cut down the tree with the chainsaw, with 3 people from Houston, by the way, but I know all Houston people are not bad. they had a third guy with a camera filming my face and laughing.
That's sad. But thank you, Joe.
It's
Let
sad.
Alice. I think Alistair had a couple.
That's
Look,
that's the yeah.
that is
Thank you,
sad.
thank you.
And
Okay,
let
bye.
me tell you one other thing, Joe. One other thing, Joe. Were you a part of the crisis, the mortgage crisis that occurred in the early 2000s?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. I got it. Thank you, my friend. All right, Alistair, you
Okay.
said you had another point to make.
I actually just wanted to bring up that uh, Gavin Newsom is a fairly disgusting person. He
Yeah.
always has been. He Republicans have what, rhinos? I don't know what the Democratic equivalent is, but he
Well,
is all about self-interest.
yeah, he went
And
ahead and
I
met with that
see.
blogger. What's the name of the blogger he met with? I can't
Oh
even remember.
no, not a blog. He's not a blogger. He started the Christo-fascist movement.
Right.
Yeah, the group. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
can't
to get
remember his name, but anyway, but
Republican kids.
right.
Anyway, Charlie Kirk.
Kirk, there you go,
It's
Charlie Kirk.
he had Charlie Kirk. Yeah. So I'm happy to see that Katie Porter has thrown her hat in the ring for governor.
I am
She's
too.
going to run for it.
I really love Katie, and so far she has turned out to be a good progressive. So let's see if that stays. But anyway, I got to close the show out now. Alistair,
Yep.
thank you so kindly for listening,
Yep.
and thank you so kindly for calling. And by the way, congratulations on the women's movement that you did yesterday. That is wonderful. I'm very proud of you.
It was this weekend in Conroe.
Right. Right.
And it was awesome. It was
You
awesome.
have a wonderful day, okay?
Thanks, brother.
Take care,
Bye.
sis. All right, folks. Look, we are at the end of the program now. I am very, very happy for what I see people are starting to do. They're actually going out, and many of the things that I spoke about in this blog, people are starting to do a lot of it. So, what I want to ask you is, folks, please go ahead and share. Just like I said in my article, please share, share, share. I put the link in the chat. Please go ahead and share that as wide as possible. Let other people see this. Let me see if it made it out. Yes, it made it onto YouTube as well. Please share that article. Convince people to read it. Convince people to do it. All right. Anyhow, we got some more to ask. Look, I want to ask you guys to really support the program. It is very simple to support the program. There are many ways to support the program. Of course, as a influencer, we also have Patreon. So you can support us by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. You can support us there. There are all kind of offers for Patreon support. You can also support us by buying some of our books. You get the hard copy, and if you buy it from Amazon, you get, they usually have all kinds of stuff, but I have it on Amazon. politicsdoneright.com/books is where you can get my books. One of the best ways that you can support us ongoing is to be paid subscribers of our newsletter. And to do that, if you're listening to us on Substack, of course, you just go ahead and subscribe on Substack and choose to become a paid subscriber. But if you are here in our chat, go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and you can subscribe, become a paid subscriber there. And think about it. I'm pretty sure you guys would give me a cup of coffee if you met me and we sat down and had a drink. I know you would. That wouldn't be a problem. Consider doing that. Consider becoming a paid subscriber. You get to read all of my books free of charge. We have other perks that we give you periodically. It's worth it, and you're supporting a good cause. So I ask you kindly, please support us by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and becoming a paid supporter. All right, I got to go now. I got a very important interview that you guys are going to love. It's about healthcare. And the other interview I got to do is going to be sort of historical. Busy day. And then later on tonight, I got to go to a Democratic function where we have some people from the school board attending. So I got to be there as well. Busy day. But this is what we do for the cause. Anyway, got to get out of here. Don't forget, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. Love you all. You know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.